silence, just utter and complete silence. And every now and then, a soft sob or a frantic scream. Seeing a community that has just been ripped apart by a natural disaster days or weeks after the fact is one thing, but the first time I was in a neighborhood, only moments after the storm, it was the silence that really got to me. At 4:50 a.m., these homes were a hum of electricity, air conditioning, refrigerators, but by 4:52, nothing. It was erased by an EF3 tornado. And miraculously, no one that day died, but the survivors were still walking around in their pajamas. They're silent, just kind of in shock. But once the shock worked off, searching for friends and family amongst the rubble that really set in. And there was no cell phone service to be had. I was calling, I was trying to get message out, get help. There was nothing, no signal. We had a satellite truck and still nothing. That's not something you think about until it's too late. It's the last thing you expect. Silence. It chilled me to my core the first time that I experienced it after that tornado. As a meteorologist, I have reported from countless disasters. But to be there as it happened and to experience that utter and complete silence is shocking. The chaos of those videos that you watched, how loud Mother Nature's fury can be, that's what we're used to. That's what we see. But what you don't hear in those videos is the absence of the hum of human life. No electricity, no air conditioning, no refrigerators, no televisions, without cell service, no cell phones. People in their pajamas, in shock. This is how people are left at their most desperate moment. They're stranded. They need immediate help, and they have no way to get it. And as we've learned from Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, the earthquakes in Mexico and in Haiti, the tsunami in Indonesia, there is no telling when normalcy will return to those in crisis, which is why we're here. My name is Kate Parker. I am a meteorologist and science reporter for the Weather Company and IBM Business. And tonight, we are filling that silence with hope. We're filling it with music, and we are filling it with solutions to ease that suffering. So tonight is about you and the solutions that you've worked toward. Round of applause for that. It is about how earnest developers with a passion to help our fellow humans, the latest technology, and let's face it, a lot of pizza, a lot of cold brew, a lot of late nights came together to help those that are scared and alone in the darkness. If there's one global truth to every disaster, it's that no matter how big, they're really all local. No matter how huge the typhoon may have been, every city, every town, every street experiences that disaster differently. They have different immediate needs. The science shows that it's not our imagination. Humanity is being attacked by more of these disasters every year. Some of the horrific results of the disasters come from our own choices. Building where we shouldn't, clearing land where we shouldn't. But perhaps more importantly, these storms themselves are growing more ferocious in a warming climate. This is why Call for Code, which was designed to tackle some of the most thorny and difficult challenges our world faces today, selected natural disasters as its focus this year. And maybe there's a little bit of self-service too, because we never know when it might be us that needs help. This prize, you guys, it is so much more than an award on the shelf. And if you've been involved in this, then you know how remarkable the task was for the judges to try and determine who, just getting it down to the finalists was an insane task. But to decide a winner, whew, man. That was a tough job. So the panel of esteemed judges were chosen for their wide area of expertise. We have the head of design and user experience for Twitter, a top official from the United Nations Human Rights Office, the head of Linux Foundation, the director of the National Center for Disaster Preparedness, the CEO for the global nonprofit RED, and yes, even the 42nd president of the United States, Bill Clinton. I mean, come on. So it's just a piece of it, right? The judges are incredible, the prizes are incredible, but in addition to the $200,000 grand prize, pretty cool, the top 5 solutions are having a chance to work with the Linux Foundation as open source projects, and the winning solution will be put into production and deployed by the IBM Corporate Service Corps. So again, not just awarded on a shelf, we are making things happen tonight. And finally, the winner gets a chance to pitch to one of the world's largest venture capital firms, NEA. So, yeah, how about those prizes? I get to give that away tonight. That's pretty cool. So it's safe to say that disasters are a bit of a family business for me. My father was a firefighter for 34 years, and he's actually still a first responder on the scene to search for survivors after every disaster in the United States. So first of all, I want a round of applause for our first responders that are in the audience tonight. Policemen, firefighters, search and rescue teams. If you could stand up, actually. I know that you're out there. Let's give our first responders, please stand. Oh, I am just thrilled to announce who's going to be joining me here on the stage here. It's Gio Blackshear, Deputy Fire Chief for the City of Palo Alto. He's going to share his experience with us a little bit as someone who's first on the scene. So give him a huge round of applause, because we would survive no disasters if it wasn't for our first responders.
We are a professional team of men and women dedicated to safeguarding and enriching the lives of anyone, anywhere, anytime with compassion and pride. Our core values are the following: integrity, education, professionalism, diversity, compassion, and innovation. I could spend hours talking about how we reflect our mission and our values on a daily basis, but allow me to focus on the following: safeguarding and enriching the lives of anyone, anytime, anywhere with compassion and pride. Our service spans beyond the borders of Palo Alto and Santa Clara County. The Palo Alto Fire Department, along with hundreds of fire agencies across the state of California, is part of the state's mutual aid plan. Most notably during California's fire season, we are prepared to provide personnel and resources to aid other jurisdictions, hence the words, anyone, anytime, anywhere. It's commonly said that your worst day is our every day. There's no shortage of firefighters like myself that have used words and photos to convey what it takes to be a firefighter, to show up every day, knowing that it's only a matter of time when we will be called to respond to a cry for help. It might be a non-emergency, like the time that we got a call at 2 o'clock in the morning and a rabbi was in the middle of University Avenue with a broomstick trying to remove a shoe that was wrapped around an eruv. Of course, we responded and we removed the shoe from the wire. Then there's the lights and sirens. Is it a call to rescue citizens that are trapped in a vehicle, or someone's family member suffering from a stroke or a heart attack, or a single-engine plane that crashed into the Palo Alto Baylands? Or could it be someone's home or neighborhood going up in flames along with the valuables that are most dear to them? To be a first responder is more than an occupation or a job. It's a calling. It's a desire to serve selflessly. It's the opportunity to put the hours and hours of training into action for the benefit of others. It's the courage to respond knowing that the outcome may not be the one that is desired. It is the confidence earned knowing that your fellow firefighter has your back. When Captain Toby McDonald and his crew were deployed on the Tubbs fire in Sonoma County, I had asked him via text message how he and his crew were holding up. Of all the wildland fires he responded to in his 30-plus years of experience with CAL FIRE and the Palo Alto Fire Department, he said the Tubbs fire was the hardest. It wasn't the death march up the mountain with 6,000 feet of hose. It wasn't the trees that they cut down using chainsaws and axes. It was the emotional weight that was imposed upon them when the citizens returned to what used to be their homes and the look of helplessness upon their faces. Captain McDonald sent me this message while he was deployed, and I quote, "It's hard to comprehend the devastation of destruction. It's like the end of a world movie." He continued, "We saved a few houses, which was nice." And one may ask why and how do we continue to serve? It's the balance. As he said, we saved a few houses, which was nice. It's the compassion for one another. It's the camaraderie. It's the trust in each other. It's knowing that for every unfortunate outcome, there'll be an opportunity for the win. The dozens of letters we receive from complete strangers, those are wins. The lives we save, those are wins. It's the ability to provide our firefighters with the best tools and the latest technology to make it safer to serve the community more efficiently and effectively. The wins. That's why we serve. Thank you.
Woo, right? Pretty incredible. So we may not all be able to be trained and go to the fire academy and rush into burning buildings, but everyone here has already volunteered to be a part of helping first responders in their important work just by being here. But just because every disaster is local doesn't mean our response has to be local. So next we want to welcome Laurent Sauvert, Director, UN Human Rights, to join us. Laurent and the UN Human Rights are a leading charitable partner for the Call for Code and are doing so much.
Thank you, and good evening, friends. It is really an honor to be here today at the Call for Code Award ceremony and to be part of an initiative which is so inspiring and useful to the world. 2018 marks the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And since its birth, in the ashes of World War II, the Universal Declaration has inspired millions of people to work for greater freedom and human dignity. Women and men have marched and struggled to end discrimination, to enable national liberation, to free their communities from exploitation and oppression. By coming together with your skills to help our fellow human beings, you are carrying on this work. Thank you. It is essential when we face the aftermath of natural disasters that we maintain a clear and steady focus on human rights. Natural phenomena become disasters where people are exposed and vulnerable, and typically they exacerbate pre-existing human rights concerns. People who are poor or marginalized, who face discrimination, or who are vulnerable for other reasons because they have a disability or are elderly, for example, will have less capacity to prepare for natural disasters and recover from them. This is why we need to ensure that disaster relief does not leave them even further behind. Human rights-based approaches to disaster response can help to detect issues that might not be immediately visible and assist responders to deal with those issues promptly to minimize suffering. Using this human rights lens means we can strengthen the effectiveness of disaster responses and help communities recover, not just faster, but better. I remember a time when I worked for Doctors Without Borders. I was in Haiti in 2010, after the earthquake, seeing destruction everywhere in Port-au-Prince, the capital, which had been the strongest hit. At the time, our teams decided not to work in Port-au-Prince, not because there were no needs, but because they were more or less covered with while some populations in the periphery didn't have any access to medical aid. These were populations who had been severely affected. This was a choice, despite the logistical challenges and the costs involved, to ensure everyone could benefit from international assistance. Human rights help means leaving no one behind and helping those who are most in need, most of all. When everyone has access to justice and basic resources, with the right to raise their voices and participate in decisions, all of us benefit. Disaster relief can become a turning point for change. At the very least, it should not make these situations even worse. On behalf of UN Human Rights, I would like to sincerely thank David Clark, the creator of Call for Code, IBM, its founding partner, and all the developers who answered the call. We are inspired by your thirst for change. And now, please let me introduce you to our human rights champion, a good friend, Amber Heard, actress and human rights activist, who has a special message for you all. Thank you.
I'm Amber Heard, and I am honored to work with the UN Human Rights to promote a message of justice and equality around the world. I regret that I'm not able to be there with you in person and meet you, and thank you for all of your efforts. UN Human Rights believes that technology, when used wisely, can be a powerful force to advance human rights and build more equitable societies. They support Call for Code because this initiative engages the worldwide community of developers to solve social challenges with sustainable technological solutions. Change does not happen without global mobilization. By encouraging developers to play a role in addressing the human rights needs in a context of a humanitarian crisis, Call for Code plays an important role. Thank you for choosing UN Human Rights as your charitable partner. And thank you to all of the developers who use their power to innovate for social good.
Thank you, Laurent. Thank you, UN Human Rights, for all that you do and for the reason that we're here. And Laurent, would you like to help me announce the finalist, the first finalist? I know. When we talk about an incredible task, it certainly was one. But our first finalist of the evening is Project OWL. It's a software-hardware solution that provides connectivity during and after a natural disaster through an IBM Watson-based mesh network that can send speech-based communications. Now, the OWL software incident management system uses predictive analytics and multiple data sources to build a dashboard for our first responders.
We really were inspired by the whole hurricane situation in Puerto Rico. All communication was down. It was completely dark for not just 1 week, but weeks and into months.
So Project OWL is kind of a two-part solution. We have a software incident management system that first responders and civilians can use to manage a disaster, coordinate resources, learn about weather patterns, and get information data analytics through the cloud.
For the hardware aspect, we leverage IBM's IoT platform, the cloud and database, Node-RED.
The hardware component allows us to distribute OWL incident management software to the worst disasters where infrastructure and connectivity might be offline.
Once this network is deployed, this network of ducts are deployed in a cluster or cluster duct, the civilians are able to basically get on the devices to a really intuitive interface, contact the responders, and basically send a list of things that are really essential to them.
You walk into Starbucks and you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, a little page comes up, so it's kind of the same idea.
This type of efficiency can dramatically impact how many people can be saved during a disaster.
Let's keep it going because they did a lot of work for that.
My friends to cheer for me. I can't wait for them to cheer for me.
And just so you all know, not even I know the winner tonight. So we are all waiting with bated breath. The call for code went out, and you all answered. And among the many developers that supported the call for code, Joma, a developer who has shared his perspective with hundreds of thousands of developers on YouTube, he's became a bit of an evangelist for the call for code. So please welcome Joma because he has quite a lot to say and it's inspiring.
Thank you. Hello, hello. First of all, I just want to start off by saying how incredible this is, right? So thank you so much, Call for Code, for organizing this global challenge. So a little context about me. I went to university to study computer science, wrote my fair share of Hello World programs. They didn't all work, but it's okay. But I'm also a YouTuber, and I make videos informing and helping anyone who wants to learn software engineering or data science. And then one day, Call for Code reached out to me, and I was given the opportunity to promote this challenge. And of course, I accepted immediately, because it was my chance to have a positive impact in this world. So I made a video about why you shouldn't be a programmer. So I was like, wait, what? I mean, people were confused, but as they kept watching the video, I talk about how we shouldn't think of ourselves as just programmers. Programming is but a tool to build something amazing, something that would have an impact. And in this case, a positive, long-lasting change across the world, helping victims of natural disasters. So don't think of yourselves as programmers. Think of yourselves as creators, innovators, or problem solvers. But for you guys, I have something else to say. You have to understand that you are gifted. Now, it's not time to be humble. You guys are the world's most brightest, most creative, most intelligent people. But that also means you have a responsibility to building a better future for the next generations. And to be honest, the world isn't looking that great right now. You know, hurricanes are getting stronger, sea level is rising, cows are still farting uncontrollably. I mean, these are probably the hardest problems, but they're also the most important problems to solve in the world right now. But there's no one else better suited to solve these problems than yourselves. Now, of course, you have the choice to do anything you want. You definitely have the ability or the competence to do anything. I mean, I have no control over you. My words have no control over you. But I do think that my words speak the truth. And the truth is that many of you will be the leaders of tomorrow. And my gosh, I hope damn well you lead us to the right direction, because we desperately need some direction right now. Now, whether you like it or not, each decision you make will in some ways impact our society we live in today. For example, your decision to answer the call for code, not only will your code impact the lives of the victims, but you joining this challenge gives developers a voice, telling the people that we can create meaningful changes in this world, and that no problem is unsolvable. Now, making this world a better place to live in is never someone else's problem. And I think Call for Code is a great step towards that direction. This is why Call for Code was so important to me. It gave me an opportunity to have an impact, and I took it. And I think you recognize it too. That's why you're all here today. But I hope after today, you'll remember at least this one thing. It's that you matter. And I don't mean it in a cheesy way like your friends saying, oh, you matter to them. I mean, the things you do truly matter, and they will materialize in this world. So every time you write a line of code, every time you choose a project, every time you take a job offer, remember that your actions matter. They might seem small to you, you're 1 out of a million, but in aggregate, all of your actions together basically dictate what the future will look like for us. So I hope that you recognize that and that you'll strive to make a positive impact. So I leave you with this one wish as we close out Call for Code 2018 and ready ourselves for Call for Code 2019, is that I wish one day, when I have kids and they're all grown up, they'll tell me, wow, you guys set a really high bar for us. And I'll answer, yeah, we sure did. Yep.
I think we can agree that developers are basically superheroes and their special powers coding.
Yeah, that's right.
It is all about you guys who are trying to reboot the world. So in fact, to get even closer to developers, like everyone here and those around the world, Call for Code has turned up at various events around the globe, conferences, hackathons, colleges, including CGIU. Just this month, IBM advocates recently helped university students at the Clinton Foundation's CGIU Codeathon in Chicago, where a good friend of Call for Code had something to share.
I think it was hugely important to have IBM be part of our Codeathon. I think the quality of mentorship, the skills and the confidence that the students who participated in the Codeathon received is far greater than it would have been without IBM's participation.
Coding is something that just kind of comes naturally. It's something I really like to do. And when it's for a purpose, it's just that much better.
I think optimism is not only a moral choice for what we want to do, I think it's also necessary to how we do our work, to why we keep doing our work.
Yeah, that happened. I fell. Don't turn around whenever you're supposed to be facing forward. That's the key there. So, on to the next exciting thing, our second finalist, Lolly Wildfire Detection. This is an IoT and software solution that sends temperature data from areas at risk of wildfires to the IBM Cloud and Watson Studio to analyze the data and give our first responders an alert based on data thresholds. The IoT device, get this, is expected to cost less than $5, right? It's expected to help firefighters accurately monitor the spread of fire and plan how to contain it.
Lolly Wildfire Detection is a system that can help prevent wildfire disasters.
What we do is basically measure temperature data and send it to IBM Cloud and take it in the IBM Watson platform for further processing, like machine learning AI algorithms that we run on it to predict fire intensity, the fire shape, where it's going to spread.
Here in California, the cost of wildfire on last 10 years is 5.1 billion. What we saw with IBM Cloud Platform, we can take a lot of data from firemen, maps, and mix all this data to make like something really more efficient. We can enter in the market in California and develop it and make it cheap and cheap.
I am from Ecuador. We do have wildfires, and because of price constraints, they prefer to let the fire burn. Our overall goal is to have this deployed in as many countries as we can.
It's very cheap, less than $5, long range, around 10 to 15 kilometers. It can last up to 10 years. This, I thought, is a perfect opportunity to showcase that my code can save lives. It can impact society.
All right, a lot of support. That's awesome. We love to hear that. I hope you guys also show a lot of support to our next guest, Subaleka. She's the communications and policy lead at Project Lantern. You may have recognized her from some of the developer videos that we did to help get you guys involved with Call for Code. So her team is a top finalist, actually, and a great supporter, obviously, of the cause. So please welcome her to the stage. So her and I, we had this conversation about 3 months ago in Atlanta, and you were first telling me about Project Lantern there, but maybe not everybody heard. So what exactly is Project Lantern?
It's so lovely to see you again.
I know.
So Project Lantern is a hardware software solution that's used to create data visibility during a time of darkness. We all know that when disaster strikes, infrastructure fails, and we really don't know how to get to our own basic needs and know nothing of what's going on around us. So Lantern supports that by allowing people to access simple applications via our Wi-Fi hotspot. And one of the things that's interesting is that both relief workers as well as local citizens are able to understand the needs of the locality, also what's happening on a ground support level using it. And the lanterns are able to sync with each other via Wi-Fi, as well as use long-range radio. So when there's no internet, you're still able to create this sort of visibility over one city. And one of the things that's interesting to me is that we're also attached to our phones right now, and that's where we kind of seek our comfort from. So for us to be able to offer that comfort to people who are looking for it is exciting.
Yeah, you guys kind of answered the call before we sent out the call for code, which is interesting, but you also didn't keep it a secret. You came on with me and told everybody about your project and what you were submitting. That seems pretty unusual for a developer.
Yes, so my team and I have been doing this for more than a decade, and when we started in technological innovation, one of the things that was interesting was that we had to follow a code of ethics that was handed down to us by industry. And as a young team, we tried to adhere to it, but truth be told, we weren't so happy. We were getting so impatient because a lot of things done in silence never see the light of day. And a year ago, we made a conscious decision to be like, we want to be open. And Project Lantern is completely open source. Our code is on GitHub, and we stand behind every single thing we build. And if somebody can build on top of it, it's amazing. And in reality, as we saw today, we all rise or fall together in a moment like this. And it's so important that we have things that, although silence supports our economic goals, being open might be risky, but the rewards are greater because it supports something that's much deeper, that's the goal for humanity.
You're doing the good work. That had to come from somewhere. You had to be inspired by something, as many people were in this room, either to become a first responder or to write code to try and help in a natural disaster. How were you inspired to create this?
So Project Lantern, really, every single person on our team has a backstory because we are comprised of amazing people. And I will share with you mine. Back in 2006, when I did my master's in computer science, my thesis was around investigating solutions, offline systems for American Red Cross. I was really inspired by nurses who used to go to these regions they knew nothing about and act as ground support, But after that, I worked a lot in social impact, but disaster recovery never crossed my path until I was in the big earthquake in Mexico City last year. I was on the 15th floor of a building in a city I barely knew. I had moved there, sort of following my inner compass. I barely spoke the language. And being in that moment kind of shook me, as it does. I also am somebody who's super empathetic, so I profusely apologize to my plants if I go on vacation without watering them. So for me to watch anything struggle or suffer I want to do everything I can to fix that situation. And to see hundreds of people struggle around me, and I felt completely helpless. But one thing that it did was to be around those people, especially the people I was with when it happened, something clicked, and I realized they were my people too, and I want to move there. And the next few days, what I did was try to support, but I didn't know how, because I wasn't able to, I didn't have the physical strength to move rubble. I didn't have physical resources because I just moved with a suitcase and a bag of books. So I didn't have anything to offer from physical resources perspective, and my language support didn't help me be a good ground support either. So I ended up going to a camp where there were children of relief workers as well as people who are working with the rubble, and I just ended up thinking that play and cheer is something I could offer, so I ended up just spending time with kids. And as days went by, and as beautiful coincidences would have it, I got a call from my team in New York, and they said, well, this is going to be a good faith effort, but we want to work on Project Lantern, which is going to be an offline system for disaster recovery. And they were like, are you in? I said, of course, I'm in the middle of this zone. Let me do all that I can. So I said, let me go in. I started interviewing people in relief camps, talking to people on the street, and really observing the systems and seeing what works, what didn't work, and slowly started to connect the dots together. And I must say, I'm really honored to be working with people in my team because they're from all over the world, and each of them put a lot of effort when we had little to no funding. And to be where we started a year ago to be where we are today, I'm quite proud of us.
Yeah, that's incredible, and an incredible story.
Thanks.
So is that what convinced you and your team, experiences like that, to join the Call for Code?
So community is so important to us, as well as collaboration. When one of our advisors told us about Call for Code, one of the things that really pulled us towards it is the sense of openness. We have so many shared values with Call for Code. It's just something that we simply couldn't resist. And also, another thing we've thought a lot about and talked a lot about is that there's so many examples when it comes to technology as to how to create technology for profit. But there's so little pathways that exist for people to understand how do you create technology that help towards sustainable development goals, but also create motivations within the team that are financial motivation, intellectual motivation, emotional motivations. So one of the things that we're very committed to is for long-term change, and we realize long-term change can only happen if we lead by example. So for us, it's not just about creating a company that has better workforce engagement, but it's also leading up to public policy. We want to be involved in all of that. And for us, I'm so grateful to be part of Call for Code community because it's helping us take our first baby steps into these larger vision we have.
And what are those next steps? I mean, the big steps after the baby steps.
So for Project Lantern, we just won a prize at the Mozilla Foundation, National Sciences Foundation. Yeah. And that's going to help us move out of the bootstrap stage that we were in all this while into actually be able to have a team and work towards a pilot deployment. Also, we are part of the documentary that IBM is making around creators who are working within disaster recovery. They're going to be coming to Mexico City, where I live, next week to film us. It's exciting because it gives us an opportunity to share our story. But also, another thing that's exciting for me personally is that it gets me to share my Mexico in a very different light than it's used to in the media these days.
That's huge. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And you guys are all going to get a preview of that documentary coming up in a little bit. So you're going to like it, I think. Would you like to help me introduce our third finalist?
Of course.
Yes, okay. It's time for our third and final finalist, PD3R. Round of applause. You might wonder what that stands for. It's Post-Disaster Rapid Response Retrofit. It's representing the nonprofit Build Change. So in the aftermath of a natural disaster, this solution uses IBM Watson visual recognition technology to assess structural damage on buildings and determine if these homes and these schools can be retrofitted rather than completely rebuilt. Now, once this is deployed, the solution could allow disaster victims to return to their homes in a matter of days rather than months or even years.
Can you feel the change coming? When an earthquake strikes, two things can happen. A house can be completely damaged or it can be partially damaged. PD3R stands for Post-Disaster Rapid Response Retrofit. What PD3R wants to do is to assess those houses that can be fixed or strengthened, and doing that in a very quick way using artificial intelligence.
We worked with artificial intelligence solutions. We dealt with the data that was provided by the rest of our team members. We used the IBM Watson engine, the visual recognition engine, to train our classifier. We also use the Watson API to build a mobile application where homeowners can upload those images and then the classifier would be deployed.
Where I come from, Nepal, it's very vulnerable to earthquakes. My family was affected and they experienced this earthquake and multiple aftershocks, which was a very traumatic experience. Because of this, everybody over there live in constant fear of how our country would be able to respond to the next big disaster.
I believe Call for Code is a very good opportunity to scale things up and to scale good ideas.
We deploy dynamic artificial intelligence to be able to offer free structural engineering advice in disaster-prone regions and be able to ultimately save lives after disasters.
We have the finalists. Do we want to know who won? But first, some stats. 5 months, 156 nations, tens of thousands of developers, millions of lines of code, and a grand prize of $200K. It all comes down to this moment, which will happen in just a few more minutes. We want to introduce to you the organizations that played an essential role for Call for Code in 2018, our Call for Code affiliates. Our sponsors, and our supporting organizations. A lot. When we say global, we mean global. A lot of people came together to make this happen. So we want to introduce you to a group of individuals that represent organizations without which Call for Code would not have happened. First of all, we've got our Call for Code creator, the David Clark Clause, and David Clark himself. Our founding partner, IBM. Our charitable partner, UN Human Rights. Our charitable partner, the American Red Cross. Our technology partner, the Linux Foundation. And our venture capital partner, NEA. So just as a reminder that besides the honor of winning Call for Code and the prize money, the winning solution will be put into production and deployed by the IBM Corporate Service Corps to actually help the world. And the winner gets a chance to pitch to one of the world's largest venture capital firms, NEA, so it's kind of a big deal, right? So we all need to know who the winner is. And that honor is going to go to where it started and where we began this evening, our brave first responder, Geo Blackshear.
Thanks, Kate. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. The winner of the 2018 Call for Code Global Prize is Project Owl.
Wow. This has been an amazing initiative. It's such a privilege and an honor to be up here, not just amongst my teammates, but everyone involved in the Call for Code. There's so many people I would love to thank for all their help, family, friends, certainly my teammates, IBM. Their effort and initiative here has been incredible. I've never experienced anything like it in my life. Even personal mentors of mine, my IBM mentor, Bruce Weed, just so many amazing individuals came together for this. And even the other teams involved in this Call for Code, we saw your YouTube videos, we found them, we watched them. And though this is the conclusion of Call for Code, we hope that moving forward we can be united by a common cause and cease to be competitors in the future, but colleagues. And though I suppose this is the conclusion of Call for Code, we don't view this as a finish line for our work, but a checkpoint in a much longer journey. And I know I speak for all these gentlemen up here that I just really can't wait to get home so we can get back to work on the technology and solutions for the people that need it most. Thank you so much.
You guys, there's a lot more to come. The night is not over. But I mean, that was kind of the highlight, right? Pretty cool. Okay, so we have an incredible musical guest that is going to be setting up in just a couple minutes here. Local natives. We also have DJ D Sharp, who is the DJ for the Golden State Warriors. Before they come out and play, we really need to thank all of you from the bottom of our hearts. We look forward to seeing you next year. This isn't a one-year deal. There's more to come. 2019. for fun? I mean, come on. We've got a great live band. I mean, not just great, insane, right? Ladies and gentlemen, local natives.
Hey guys, how are you? We're local natives. We're very happy to be here with you and play some music.
Thanks so much. How are you guys feeling? We're really happy to be here. We're local natives. We're from Los Angeles, California. And I went to school in San Francisco for 1 year.
And then he dropped out. Okay, here's another song.
It's fine. Thank you, thank you. Wow.
This next song is a duet, and on a record, Nina Persons from the Cardigans sings it with us. But she couldn't come in from Sweden tonight, so Ryan's gonna sing for us tonight. Can you guys give a round of applause to Ryan Hahn, my best friend since I was 12.
This song's called Dark Days. Thanks, guys.
We just have a couple more songs for you guys. Thank you very much for being here with us, allowing us to be here with you. And we just wanted to share that we're super, super happy to be a part of this event, to be a part of Call for Code. And we're here in the, kind of mecca of a lot of technology, a lot of concentrated power of wealth in the mind. And we're just so happy that some of it is being used to help the world and a lot of problems. So thank you guys so much for what you guys are doing. We appreciate it so much.
I've been going down to the river, baby. Listen to the sound, it's something only God knows. You figure it out, I can't stay. Water's in the clouds, it's my life about to change.
Okay, we're gonna do one more song. Thank you guys so much. thank you guys one more time so much for having us and for being a part of this awesome, awesome initiative and thing. Please keep coding to help other people. It's amazing. We need it very much. We love you. We're local natives. Good night. This song's called Sun Hands. It's the last one, so give us what you guys got. All right, let's go.
can feel with my sun hands. I promise not to lose her again. And when I can't feel with my sun hands, I promise not to lose her again. And when I can't feel with my sun hands, I promise not to lose her again. And when I can't feel with my sun hands, I promise not to lose her again.
Thank you. We're local natives. Thanks for coming out. Call for Code. We love you. Good night.